Welcome to Unleash Your Audacious Confidence on Win-Win Women TV. This show is all about sharing the tips, tools, and techniques that will allow you to step boldly in the direction of your dreams despite your feelings, fears, or past failures, to imagine what's possible for yourself and live the life you deserve. Well, hello, and welcome to this episode. I'm your host, Alicia Curry, and boy, do we have a show for you today. I am so thrilled to have our next guest because this is a show that I know is going to help so many women out there that are struggling within their relationships. But before I bring on our guest, I do want to welcome you to Win-Win Women TV. To go to winwinwomen.com and check it out. On that platform, there are many opportunities for you to connect with other women. There's also the ability to join some local circles in your area. So go check out the Win-Win Women website as well as the store. There's some merchandise there that you can avail yourself with. If you want to connect with me, go to alicia360.com, alicia360.com. I'd love to hear your feedback on this episode. So you can email me, you can connect with me on all social media platforms, as well as you can WhatsApp me if you have WhatsApp. So make sure to go to alicia360.com, alicia360.com to connect with me. And we have a lot of opportunities for development as well that we do. We work with teams, we work with leadership. So if you are in an organization and you want to increase your leadership skills, we do that over on Audacious Concepts, Inc., which is my company. Now, on with the show. We have Dr. Joy Vaughan with us today. And Dr. Vaughan is a brain science expert as well as psychology, and she is here to share with us some of the tips, the tools, the strategies that women can employ when trying to make such a difficult decision in their life of transition. If they're in a relationship that they're unfulfilled, not abusive relationship, but it's really, a bad situation for you. And you're trying to make the decision whether to stay or go in that relationship. So Dr. Joy, thank you so much for joining us today.
It is an absolute pleasure to be here with you, Alicia. I've been so looking forward to this conversation with you because right now, coming out of the pandemic, it is a critical conversation for women to have. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Coming out of, we're a couple years out, and it's still women are finding themselves in situations that they're like, how did I get here? Why am I even here? And so this is why I'm excited to have this conversation, because the statistic is that, and I found this to be a shocking statistic, that 60% of women are in unhappy relationships and they don't know how to get out. They feel trapped in it.
That is so true.
Yeah. So my first question I'm going to ask you actually comes from our LinkedIn audience, and they wanted to know, how can women really confidently navigate that decision to stay or go? So I'm starting with a doozy.
That is a doozy. So how do you navigate the decision to stay or go? And for the countless couples and women that I've worked with, I want you to know that the decision to stay or go doesn't only apply to a romantic relationship. It's a job. It's moving from one state to the other, getting out of your parents' house. I mean, it's all about what you value and where you see yourself going next. And sometimes,
Can I just take a pause on that a second? And I apologize. I didn't give you the opportunity to introduce yourself, but after this question, I will. But value is so huge, and we don't often take the time to assess and evaluate and reevaluate our values. Do you agree?
Absolutely. And what you value 20 years ago, you may not value today. Your
Ding.
value,
I wish I had a, I have all these signs. Yes, 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 yes. I have signs. I have signs from the pandemic when we used to do online courses, but it's so true.
yes,
Your values change over time where you are in your life. And the thing that was so important to you in your early 20s, when you're in your 40s, it's not the same.
no, it's
And
not.
if you don't take the time to reevaluate that, you find yourself unhappy, unfulfilled, feeling stuck because you don't know what you're doing there, why you're there, and what to do next.
Exactly. And it's not just understanding that your values have changed. It's being able to embrace and accept that and then communicate about that.
Mm,
People, they don't communicate.
right.
Why don't they communicate? Fear. They're
Hmm.
afraid of what people will think, what the other person will think. Will they still be accepted? Uh, Fear rejection.
100%.
All of those fears come up for people when you are transitioning to a new phase of your life. Because here's the thing about transitioning, you transition sometimes slowly over time. And then all of a sudden you wake up and you're not the same person that you were 20 years
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. And what the things that were important to you then aren't so important now, but new things are. And you wake up one day and you're like, how did I get here? How did I get here? And
ago.
it's little, what do you call them? Just those little acceptances of things that you really didn't want, but they weren't big enough to really stand up, like, and say no to. So you
Right.
just keep accepting little things until it accumulates over
Yes.
time.
Yes.
And then it's like, ugh,
Yes. And then it's harder then to have that conversation.
yeah,
It's really hard, not with yourself, first of all. The first conversation is with
it's
yourself.
with yourself. And
Yes.
that's a hard conversation to have too, because you have to come to the realization that you have changed, and the things that you want have changed, the things that you valued have changed, when some people around you or situations around you have not, or
Yes.
they haven't um grown at the same pace that you've grown. There's this idea or paradigm that um you have to let go of something of a lower nature to achieve something of a higher nature. So if you're someone who is always evolving and improving and looking forward to the next thing, and you're in a situation, like you said, whether it's a job, a relationship, uh, with your parents, or because you could be a young person ready to go on to the next big thing, but the feeling like you're being held back.
Yes.
But you have to be able to let go of some stuff in order to, I guess, elevate to where you want to go, or at least grow into where that next level that you want to be at.
Yeah. Like one of the things I've said in the LinkedIn post, sometimes you can stay too long at the fair.
Yeah.
And you don't, the stands are shut, the rights have shut
The
down.
popcorn stale.
I mean, there's no more candy corn.
Right.
They're still there waiting, expecting something to happen that may never happen.
Hmm. So, so that's the big question. What do you do? So introduce yourself to us, and then let's go into what do you do when you recognize that you're at that crossroad.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So, as I said before, I don't know if Alicia mentioned, I'm a brain and behavior coach. And I've spent an entire career in neuropsychology and looking at the brain and connecting the neurons, how people behave. That's what my doctorate has been on. And so my work is in shifting people's neurons, one neuron at a time, so
Wow.
that they can really understand that you can rewire your brain, you can rewire the pathways, you can come into who you are just by managing two things: your internal dialogue and your external dialogue. So
Wow.
it's just
Hmm.
what you say to yourself. It's then who you
Powerful.
surround yourself with that is in alignment with the same conversations that you're having in your internal dialogue. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. You have to be congruent internally and externally. And we did a show not too long ago about words. I think we were talking about this before we
Mm,
got on live, the power of words and the power of words that you speak to yourself is
yes,
huge. So how does someone, you wake up and you recognize, you know what, this job is, they don't value me. I hate it. Yes, I need the paycheck, but uh, I can't stay here any longer. I can't. Or this relationship is just bleeding me dry. What do I do?
yeah,
What is that next thing that we should be thinking or saying to ourselves when we
okay.
wake up to that situation?
Well, number one, take responsibility for your choices. What you chose, then you chose because that's where you're at,
Mm-hmm.
right? Once you take responsibility for your choices, do so without feeling guilty for the next choice you're going to make. And the
Mm,
next choice would be to have an authentic, open, and honest conversation, not only with yourself, but with your partner. Hey, listen, baby, this is what I'm noticing, this is what I'm feeling.
mm-hmm.
Where are you with where are you now? Because when I'm finding as I coach my couples and my co-parent, particularly in the world of co-parenting, the decision to break happened a long time ago. And sometimes it happens with the birth of the first child. That is the straw that usually breaks the camel's back.
Mm,
And there's no communication about what is happening to us,
mm-hmm.
what's happening to me, what's happening to us, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So the man may be feeling something completely different than the woman because he's looking at pressure, job, making it, finances, money, right? Sex.
And the
Where's
responsibility
my
of
sex,
this
right?
child. Yeah.
Yeah. Like where's my nookie? Like where's that? Right? And how now I'm responsible for. I'm feeling the burden of that, right? And then the woman is looking at it from a different perspective of maybe no sleep. I mean, there's so many things, the hormonal changes, but it's not talked about.
Yeah. Yeah. We were not raised, and I think it's generational.
It is. It is.
We're not raised to communicate, like,
No,
there's no blame.
no.
I'm not leveling blame on anybody because you do what you know, right? You do what has been passed down to you. And
Yes.
so if you came from parents that didn't speak at all about anything, especially sharing it with children, like children aren't supposed to know these things, these
Right.
personal things about us. And if they don't share with each other or with their children, the children don't know. So the children just adopt behavior that they see
Yes.
and that they feel. And if mom and dad don't talk, then they get into a relationship where they don't talk.
Yes.
They haven't learned. These are skills that you have to learn. You're not born knowing these things. And it's up to you individually, women out there listening, watching, to not just seek out. The Bible says, for lack of knowledge, my people perish. You have to seek out the knowledge how do I have this successful relationship? And then share it with your partner, that this is how we're going to be successful in our relationship. And you have to start it early in the relationship for it to be sustained, for it to sustain. And even if you miss the boat and you want the relationship to work, then you have to discover what tools, which is what Dr. Joy does so brilliantly. Get the tools so that you can rediscover how to communicate, how to do the things that you missed out on because you didn't know, instead of standing in guilt and shame and blame and all those ugly things. I love what you said, take personal responsibility. And that's so hard for so many people to do.
Yeah. And if on the road to what I call the road to Damascus, right?
Yeah. You're awakening.
You're awakening. Sometimes you have to fall in love with your partner every single day.
Yeah. And that's a choice.
Oh, that's a choice. And it's not
That's
easy.
a choice. It's not easy.
It's
You
not
have
easy.
to make that choice to look at that person again and decide, I'm going to stay. And if I'm staying, I need to be in love with that person again.
Yeah.
And you find the things that light you up about them,
Yes.
and you have to let go of the things that totally annoy you, because we're all annoying, right?
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. And I tell my go on date nights. The best
Right.
advice is even after the child is our son, we would go on a date night once a week and a date weekend every month.
Nice. You see, that's the thing about it too, is you have to be committed to doing that,
Yes.
but also with the understanding that this is for the relationship, and a healthy relationship is good for your children.
Yes.
So it's not being selfish. It's not ignoring the children. It's not, well, the children are a priority. No, your relationship is the priority.
That's
and
right.
The priority all the time.
Mhm.
All the time. That
Yeah.
needs to come first. That
Yeah.
relationship.
But
And so, go ahead.
even before that, when you're in the dating process, when you find somebody, one of the things you might want, do I really like this person? How do I love them? What do I like about them? Can I be friends with them? Because sometimes I find the friendship is what keeps you together. You know,
Yeah.
it's a friendship. When at the end of the day, when all is said and done, I'm your friend.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we can weather this together, whatever it is, right? The car goes off the sidewalk, down the
Yeah.
mountain range. I'm your friend. I got you.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you're looking at your relationship from a different value perspective too.
Absolutely.
You have to look at your relationship from a different value perspective in making that decision. Should I stay or should I go? And what value does this bring to my life to stay? And you continue to, well, everything starts with a decision, right? So you have to make that decision of what do you want to do? Do you want to stay and make it work? Is it worth staying and making it work? Or is there a different thing that you desire to bring into your life that this relationship just cannot support?
Well, you know what they say, season, reason, lifetime, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you can remember, people come into your life for a season, a reason, and a lifetime. And you get to choose which one you want to sign on to. But I want to get back to the LinkedIn person's question. Can you read that again? Please?
Sure. It says, how can women confidently navigate the decision to stay or go?
Confidently navigate. Those are the two operative words, right? So the number one thing is awareness. As soon as practice being aware of who you are, what you want, and how badly you want it.
Mm-hmm.
How badly do I really want this? Because every choice has a consequence.
Yes, cause and effect. That's the universal law. Cause and effect. Mm-hmm.
Are you prepared to deal with the consequences, good, bad, or indifferent? So let's take the job. You hate your job. I hate my job. 75% of people hate their job.
Hate their job. I can't
I
stand
can't
it.
stand it.
And
Right?
most of the times it's not the job itself, it's the supervisor. Sometimes it is the job and what you have to do, but a lot of
Yes.
times people that you're working with.
So one of the things I work with people like coach, I tell them shift your lens.
Mm,
Shift your lens. The person who you see as horrible and bad and blah 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 blah. There's a reason why they're that way. Shift your lens. Look at them through different lenses. And when you shift this is all part of brain packing, right? When you shift your lens, then they will begin to look different.
yeah, that's
And
so.
that's a hard thing to do.
It is
Everybody,
hard. It's easy for us to just sit here and say that, but yeah,
yes.
in practice, it takes consistency, it takes commitment to doing it, and it takes a willingness to let go of your perceptions
Mm,
and adopt a different viewpoint.
yes.
Yeah, that's not always easy to let go of that, especially if it's someone who's been terrorizing you for so long.
Right.
Yeah.
But you got to ask why.
Yeah.
Why are they like that? Right? What happened to them?
Yeah. You can have compassion for them,
A lot of I
a
bring
lot of
compassion to
compassion for them,
everything. Right?
but then also realize in this equation, because
Mhm.
that was the decision to confidently navigate, how do I fit into this equation? And are they just using and abusing me? Or is there a possibility for us to come into agreement?
Yes. And one of the things is courage.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have the courage to, and sometimes you got to say, wait for it, wait for the right opening.
Yeah.
And you have the courage to step in and say, hey, you have let me take you to lunch.
Yeah. Let's have a
Let's
conversation.
have a conversation. Do you know that this is how you come across them?
Yeah.
Do you
And that's
know?
why I really love, because I asked you about, the tools that you use, because we
Yes.
use assessment tools in our consulting with individuals and with teams, especially at work, to help them see blind spots that they're not aware of for themselves without having a colleague point it out. Because
Yes.
sometimes if someone points something out to them, they could get defensive.
Yes.
And the 4 agreements, they start taking offense immediately and then make your
Yes.
life difficult because you're the one that picked at the scab.
Mhm.
And so when we have these tools that are unbiased and it's just, telling you like it is,
Yes.
like, yeah, I can be like that. Yeah, I get it. I can. And it feels like you're someone stepping on your pinky toe.
Yes.
Um, but back to what you said about awareness, you need to have awareness to change. If you don't
Yes.
have awareness, you cannot change anything.
Right. Right.
You have to have
And
awareness and the desire to make the change.
absolutely. So it's awareness, it's courage. Those two will give you the confidence, right?
Yeah.
To say, okay, today is Monday. By this time next week, where do I want to be? What do I want to do?
Mm.
Plan your work your plan, and be quiet about it.
Yeah. I have a coach that says, ask yourself, why am I choosing to have this experience right now? Because then it brings it back to responsibility. It brings it back to, this is your responsibility. You are choosing this in this moment. Why am I choosing to have this experience? Because then you can't run away from it. It's like,
Exactly.
no, I didn't choose this. Yes, you did.
Yes, you did. Yes, everything in life you choose.
You chose it,
You chose it,
whether
and
consciously or unconsciously. You chose it.
you chose it. So now that you chose it, I always ask, what am I supposed to learn from this?
Mm.
What is my lesson here?
Yes, I love that question.
What is my lesson here? So I'm dealing with a difficult person, right? What is my lesson here?
And then you may think, you know what? I've learned my lesson. It's time to move on. I,
Exactly.
I can't.
Unless you're committed to loving that person through their difficulties. The person isn't difficult to be difficult. They're difficult because that's
Dealing
what
with something
they
else
should
instead.
be. They're getting a payoff from being difficult or being
Mhm.
a bully or or being whatever, however they are.
Right.
And you, it's a mirror neuron thing, right? It's giving and receiving. So if they think that and you might be irritating them for no reason, you might remind them of somebody.
Hmm.
It has nothing to do with you.
A lot of times it doesn't.
It's
Um,
their issue.
so when you're dealing with someone, let's say that is you're in a relationship and they're really oblivious to your needs or the things that you are going through, like they're just going about la 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 la, like everything's great, everything's fine, nothing's wrong. And even if you're pointing things out that, you know what, I am having this challenge, but they're still like, well, I don't see it, so it's all good. How do you then still find ways to stay in that relationship when you know it's not fulfilling?
Okay, good
Because
question.
yeah, because the
Good
other person is
question.
just like, "Oh, it's your issue, so you deal with it, but everything's fine."
It is my issue. Thank you for pointing that out. And just to be aware, it is really my impact in my ability to love you.
Mm,
And I really want to love you, but right now, this particular issue I'm having is actually preventing me from even wanting to be close to you. So I'm coming to you with this because I need you to know that. And I'm asking for your support.
hmm.
And if it is something that you cannot give me, I get it. But then can you then support me in dealing with what I'm dealing with so that I can better support you or I can better love you? Because right now it's really, really a barrier.
Right.
This
Yeah.
and just laid up. This I don't even feel right now like being sleeping in the same bed with you.
Hmm.
That's very concrete.
I know that there are some women that have that kind of challenge where they are so um they own their own business, they're provide for themselves, like they're so ahead of the curve. They're moving fast, they're moving forward. Every other area of their life is really clicking, and then they're in relationships that it's just ugh.
But
And they've made the choice to get
yeah,
divorced because it's like the, there was just nothing there
yeah,
that was, like you said, our values were so misaligned. From their perspective, their values were so misaligned that it's like there's no there's there's
yeah.
no way of moving forward on this, but
It,
we still can love and respect each other where we are, but we just can't be together.
yeah.
So
And
yeah.
it's funny. I hear from the men, well, these women, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You guys, you can do it all. What do you need me for? What,
yeah.
what am I, just a sex doll to you? Like, what really do you need me for? I can't. I feel as a man that I cannot provide or give you anything. So
Right.
argue with me because now I feel diminished by you because in every action you're telling me you don't really
You
need
don't
me.
need me. Right.
So why am I here? And then the man has to evaluate for himself. Should I stay or
Did
go?
I stay or go? Right. What is my purpose here anymore?
What's my purpose?
No, I don't, you don't need me. What are we
And
here
then you do it. You can do bad all by yourself. You don't
for?
need me.
Exactly.
You know.
Dr. Joy, I just took a look at the time. I realized we are over time.
Oh, I'm so
Wasn't even paying
sorry.
attention because listen, no, this conversation is still good. I'll have to have you come back again. Okay, so your
Okay,
Facebook group, you can go to Own Your Happy with Dr. Joy
Dr. Joy. Yes.
on Facebook. So you can do just in the search bar, Own Your Happy with Dr. Joy. And then you
Yes.
can check out what's the website.
The website is drjoycoaching.com, right?
And you can also find her on LinkedIn under Dr.Joy-Vaughan. You can book a free 30-minute call with Dr. Joy. Just go to her website, drjoycoaching.com. Thank you so much for sharing. This was really powerful. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. And I want to encourage you to be bold, to be brave, and every day do one thing to step out with audacious confidence. Until next time, this is your host, Alicia Curry, on this episode of Unleash Your Audacious Confidence here on Win Win Women TV. Bye, everyone.